In a society that often stigmatizes emotional vulnerability, projections onto those who are navigating trauma reveal deeper truths about the individuals doing the projecting. When we hear labels such as arrogant, childish, clingy, and immature thrown at those expressing their emotional needs, it serves as a reflection of the projector's inner world rather than an accurate assessment of the person in pain. This video delves into the psychological mechanisms behind such projections, exploring what they reveal about the projector's inner child or other aspects of their psyche. So for those in Gen Z, with this I would like to help you to be able to see how these projections do not accurately reflect your lived experiences. Projection, as defined in psychological terms, occurs when individuals attribute their own insecurities, fears, and unresolved conflicts onto others. This defense mechanism allows the projector to externalize feelings they are unwilling or unable to confront within themselves. For instance, if a person fears their own dependency needs and internalize these as clingy and are insecure in their relationships, they may label someone who seeks emotional support for valid reasons as needy or clingy, diverting attention from their own vulnerabilities and discomfort with emotional reality, next to their inability for true emotional intimacy in relationships. So when people label those who are traumatized with terms such as childish, entitled, or overly emotional, it often reveals their discomfort with vulnerability and emotional depth. For instance, if someone labels one as attention-seeking for mere emotional expression, it indicates a lack of empathy and a fear of being overshadowed by others' needs. So the person projecting may have unresolved issues with feeling overlooked or neglected, where when projecting immaturity on others, the person may fear confronting their own inner child, struggling to reconcile feelings of vulnerability and responsibility, where labeling someone as clingy often stems from the projector's fear of intimacy or dependence, revealing their struggle with forming healthy attachments. Where next, labels such as fragile or weak expose the projector's fear of vulnerability and the belief that expressing emotions is a sign of weakness, often rooted in their own traumatic experiences, next to societal norms as well that have been internalized. Where finally, the labels of idealistic or living in a fantasy can suggest that the person projecting may struggle with accepting reality, projecting their cynicism onto those who dare to hope or dream, which also ties into labels such as naive or overly sensitive. And here, the person projecting might be grappling with their own sensitivities, projecting their discomfort with vulnerability onto others to maintain a facade of strength, often viewing others' expressions of need as a threat to their sense of self. At the core of these projections lies the inner child, a concept in psychology that represents the childlike aspects of ourselves, including our vulnerabilities, traumas, and unmet emotional needs. When individuals project their feelings onto others, it often signals unresolved issues with their inner child, which can manifest as follows. For instance, people projecting may have unresolved childhood needs for validation, love, and support, and by labeling others as needy or clingy, they deflect attention from their own unmet desires for connection and understanding, often being thus unable to provide the same validation, love, and support to others in an authentic manner. Where the inner child can also be fraught with fear and insecurity, so people may project these feelings onto others, as it allows them to maintain a protective distance from their own vulnerabilities, which is done out of fear. And the process of healing requires facing painful memories and emotions associated with the inner child. So people who project resist this growth, opting instead to label others as immature or irresponsible to justify their own stagnation, showing their own weakness and lack of true strength. Often they falsely label people with trauma, even through the lens of the Peter Pan syndrome, which is an unfair labeling of those traumatized. And these projections not only harm those who are vulnerable, but also reflect poorly on the person projecting. By using these labels, they reveal their inability to empathize with others' experiences, hindering personal growth and authentic connection. And this dynamic fosters a culture of emotional suppression, where individuals feel shamed for their vulnerability rather than supported in their healing journeys. So to break the cycle of projection, it is essential to cultivate self-awareness and compassion, which is done by looking at your own unmet needs, your own unresolved childhood needs, your own shadow, how the Jungians would say. And I hope, regarding those listening to this video, that this also helps you to see through these projections, that it has nothing to do with you, but it has a lot to do with the person doing the projecting. Because there's nothing wrong with your emotional expression, the fact that you have emotions. It's not something that needs to just be fixed, just drugged away or anything of the sort. No, they need to be felt, understood, and relationally healed. And this does require the responsibility of the person, to do the healing, but it doesn't mean that the entire burden is suddenly just on the singular individual. The thing is that we can't just flee from our emotions. We can't just hide forever from them. At some point, we have to face them. We have to face reality as it is. Hiding away from it, how the culture does, is not conforming to reality. It's actively hiding from reality, hiding from the real reality of the world, because we're too afraid to feel how the real world actually is, our real lived experience. So we hide away from it. And it's time to come back to reality, to come back from this disassociated state of the culture, and to come back into our bodies, into this life, and to live fully.